Hi, see with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the advent of specialist misinformation journalists that have cropped up now, I've noticed, across a number of the bigger sort of globalist controlled legacy mainstream media type organizations. Now, as soon as you get the mainstream media that are full on telling globalist lies and spreading all sorts of propaganda and misinformation, disinformation on a permanent basis. In fact, they exist to tell lies on behalf of the globalists. So it causes a bit of a chuckle in me, at least, to see that they're employing specialist misinformation journalists, and their job is to say that everyone else is spreading misinformation except for them, or everyone outside of the mainstream media. Or if you're not a globalist controlled propaganda outlet, then that's it, you're misinformation or disinformation. So now they're just another device to run cover. Now they're typically very young, and they want to pitch at the young audiences, and say people under the age of 30. And these journalists, certainly the ones that I've seen, are all between the age of 23 and say 27, 28. They're all in that age group, and don't come from a journalistic background or anything like that. They come from an activist background, so they've been brought up through the NGO activist channels, and then they've been brought into journalism. So let me just look at some here. Now, they're all female, these misinformation journalists, and there's the ones I'm looking at, 3/4 are Jewish, probably half a lesbian. There's one black, and there's a straight white girl, but coming from a very activist family, and again, very active in the NGOs, a serious placard waver and that sort of stuff. And also the poster child, this classic globalist created poster child thing. And whether it doesn't matter whether you're talking about Barack Obama or anyone else, that they've got this poster child format that they use, and you just see it everywhere. Every time one of these talking heads that's spouting the globalist message gets up, you just know that they've got this globalist background. So here's one that I'm looking at here. This is one of the bigger media organizations. She's 26, and this one's actually straight. She's Jewish, but she's straight. She goes to university, studies something like sociology, and majoring in some foreign language, French it's supposed to be, I think. So she's not at a first tier university, but very ordinary sort of results at high school. But she's from, say, age 15. She's very active in that NGO, placard waving, climate change is going to kill us type circuit. So she's running around in that. And then you get the same, and I'm going to have another coffee. You get the same format again. She becomes editor of the student magazine. Then there's a local activist radio station. Then she's given a gig on that, and then is given a publishing deal, and so on. So she's got that. And I don't know what she did at all there. She talks like a high school kid now. She talks like a high school kid, and she's also filled with ideology. Her mission is to show how everyone outside of the mainstream media, or anyone who's against the globalist project or even questions it, how that is the only source of misinformation. So she's an investigative journalist, and she gets down and follows the evidence. And where does this evidence lead her? Because there's fucking Nazis everywhere. Nazis, because only Nazis would oppose the globalist project, because the globalist project is good people righteous people, moral people, and anyone who questions or opposes it is a fucking Nazi. So she's a Nazi hunter. Let's look. She might be misinformation journalist, might be her title, but she's a fucking Nazi hunter, and she swears she saw Hitler going out the back door just a moment ago. So Hitler. So she's done a few interviews, and she's gushed over by the media establishment as being the new bright young thing, and but so far all she does, well, anyone who opposes mass migration is a neo-Nazi group, so that's her, and anyone that says that illiterate black peasants or illiterate peasants coming to Europe or white countries is anything other than the most blissful, bountiful joy. Anyone that says that or opposes it is a fucking Nazi, a fucking fascist Nazi, if not Hitler in person. So that's the standard of her sort of investigate. Anyone who opposes, who even questions the COVID vaccine is a fucking Nazi. And just on it goes. So she has this incredible ability to uncover Nazis everywhere. I mean, wow. So, and is in, needless to say, full support of the globalist project, and is aggressively trashing any person or group or anybody who opposes it or questions it, or even asks even straightforward sort of simple questions. Like, do you think the trial period for testing this should go on a little bit longer before we roll it out in the whole population, given the mortality rate is so low as a direct cause of this? Now, to even come up with something like that means you are a fucking Nazi. Now, just looking at the stories she's brought out and where she's like in the field, supposedly reporting on all these Nazis from everywhere. She sounds like she's about 15, 14, 15. She's got that very schoolgirly simplicity of worldview, and is clearly, ideologically sort of tainted. So I had a look at how did she get, because she's got no journalism or anything like that. There's no way she could get into this. So she's working with an NGO, just as an agitator and so on. And then the people in the NGO who are very well connected as the NGO, it's a conga line of people between, the big media organisations, political staffers, and the NGOs. It's just a round robin conga line. So she gets. She's unemployed and she's not going anywhere. She goes back and does some other further degree in university in languages or something like that. But again, sociology degrees where nobody ever fails. She's got those, and she doesn't sound very bright, but she's she's Jewish, and she the NGO has connections into a large media organization where the Jewish producer of one of the current affairs shows decides to hire her, and then somehow she's elevated to this position of misinformation specialist journalist. On what basis, what credentials she has for that's quite beyond me. But they obviously wanted someone young and someone to go and tell the young people, look, anyone who opposes globalization is a Nazi. They just wanted someone actually to do that and to do a trash story. So, and the type of reporting that we, that's being done is, so somebody speaks out against for example, speaks out against mass migration, and they live in Augusta Street. Well, as we all know, Augusta starts with an A, which is the same letter that Adolf Hitler's name starts with that. So you can see the clear association with fascism and Nazism and Hitler just with that A. That's the situation. And we also noticed that this person once went to Germany for a vacation, a Rhine River cruise, which shows their association to Germany and the Nazis and the fascists, and now they're against globalization, so mass migration. So that proves they're fucking Nazis. It's that sort of reporting where the slightest relationship between one thing and another is then twisted and massaged into meaning something entirely, a ridiculous and absurd stretch of fantasy there. But that's the style of reporting you get from her, which is the general style you see in all these misinformation reporters, because they're not reporters or investigators. They're just propagandists, specifically there to try and represent to young people that anyone that opposes the globalization project is a Nazi. You're not a Nazi, are you, young person? You don't want to be called a Nazi, do you? Well, there you go. You better go along with this. And it's that level of reporting. So just look out for that as you're seeing these so-called misinformation journalists. They're clearly there just to amass, spread propaganda on one side, but more importantly to trash anybody who may speak out against or question the globalization project, and make sure that that they're representing that position to young people in the West. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.